Hi! Hello! This week, we're kicking off the start of Xbox Month. Xbox Month! Hi, Master Chef behind me. Master Chief. Master Chief. This is my new background for this month. I love it. How cool is this? But yeah, it's April 1st. That means it's the first of the month. That means it's a new month. That means it's a new console. And so we're doing the original Xbox. I have my controller here. I have an S controller to hand. There you go. Glitchy because of the background. I also have a Duke with me. I brought some stuff. So I've got a Duke with me as well. This beast. This massive beast. The camera didn't even want to focus on. So I've pulled together a few videos that we're gonna watch through. We're gonna sit and we're gonna go through the history of the Xbox today. We're gonna go through how the games console came into fruition, what happened in sort of 2001 when they launched the Xbox original. There you go. Today is the history of the Xbox, ladies and gentlemen. The Xbox original. Released in 2001 in North America. I think it was November 2001, if I remember correctly. And then it was released in Japan and Europe in 2002. March 14th, actually, to be exact, in the UK, they launched the original Xbox. Not with that controller, though. With this controller. It was launched with the Duke. This big bad boy. Look at this beast. I wish Xbox released an updated Duke for April Fools. They did. They did release an updated Duke. A company called Hyperkin did an Xbox, I think it's Xbox One compatible version of the Duke with a screen built into it. The original Xbox, as I said, was originally released in the US in 2001, and then the rest of the world 2002. So it's going on 25 years now. 20 years, nearly 20 years old, sorry. No, 20, wait. Brain, I can't brain. It's nearly 20 years old. It'll be 20 years old later this month, this year. God damn it. The first video I've got to look at is the official launch, or the official announcement, sorry, not official launch, the official announcement and reveal of the first games for the Xbox back in 2000. It's so intrinsically 2000s. It's so bad. It's so bad. So bad.
Damn, John.
Damn, John.
That's tight, baby.
That's tight. Oh, it's tight. It's tight.
150 developers from around the world are joining us on the Xbox effort to create the greatest games for Xbox. Specifically,
So it's funny, the Xbox was... So, the name of the Xbox, it wasn't just a random, like, this sounds cool and edgy. What happened was, and I think we'll learn about this later in another video I've got, but the Xbox was originally based off of the team at Microsoft that worked on DirectX. DirectX is a way for software designers to design software that work around in the background of Windows, basically. So it's like a programming language of itself. And so the team who came up with or worked on DirectX, they were the team that were given the job of creating a games console, and it was originally called the DirectX box. The Direct Xbox, because it was a box that the DirectX team were creating, and so it was Direct Xbox, and then they just took the Direct away and then called it the Xbox, and that's how the name came about.
we're announcing 150 developers. About 50 of those are in Japan, another 60 in the United States, and the remaining 40 in Europe, and the great products that are coming in the future.
We put our entire company.
Sorry, what was your name? What name is this? What this is no? Is it what is your how's this your name? Why? Ron Durnink? Ron Durnink. Dornink? Is it Dor or Dur? What? What? What?
CADE projects in the works, so
This is Ron Dornink. Ron Dornink. I don't know how to say his name.
we're full tilt in execution mode.
Full tilt
マ
and
イクロソフト
execution.
もやっとこの本格的に
Oh look, it's the guy that fired Hideo Kojima.
参入するということで我々も非常に期待しております。
まあ、新しいプラットフォームが登場することでユーザーにとってはもう新しい遊びが楽しめるわけで非常に大歓迎だと思います。Xbox の持っているその素晴らしいポリゴン能力とそれからまあパソコン以上とも思える。
It's interesting because
組み合わせて今までにはない
up until this point, up until the early 2000s, all of the major games console producers, Nintendo, Sega, and Sony at that point, who were just sort of starting out with the PlayStation. From the early 80s up until 2000, or up until the late 90s, very late 90s, it was very Japanese based. So Nintendo, Sega, and Sony were the big hitters. And this was Microsoft, a big American company, coming in and laying on so much money, hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars, launching a brand new American games console, which is a tough sell in the Asian markets, but I think they did well in terms of how they positioned it for Western culture. And they're like, big, huge, powerful box. But they also had to make sure that they courted and they had good relationships with the Japanese companies like Konami, like Hudson, like Capcom, to make sure that they were going to get games from those game development companies as well, because they were established companies over in Japan.
Customers want to pick up a box, whether it be because of its ability to play DVD or whether its ability to be doing broadband delivery. You're going to have people that previously didn't look at themselves as gamers want to own one of these.
It's so 2000s. It's so cheesy. My god. So I think this is now just sort of demos of what the Xbox was capable of doing. Basically, this is what they're trying to show off at this point. What's with our fingers? I'm sorry, what's with your fingers? What I find interesting about this tech demo is that none of the character models have skeletons. I don't know if you noticed this, but they don't seem to have an inner skeleton. And so all the limbs and things just move in the weirdest way because they're just floppy. It doesn't feel... That hand. What happened to that hand and the thumb? What is that? Oh. Loud. That was the 2000s official Xbox announcement and a reveal of some of the first games that were coming to the console. They were talking about the Xbox there, but they didn't actually reveal what it was going to look like. So there is a reveal video I've got, and what happened was back in the early 2000s, Bill Gates was still the top guy at Microsoft. He was still the sort of face of Microsoft, if you will. He was still the guy that he's still synonymous with Microsoft, but he's not in the public eye anymore, right? So back in the early 2000s, or actually back in the late 90s, moving into the 2000s, Bill Gates was still running the company from the top. So everything that happened with Microsoft, every decision that was made, every sort of thing they released or every update or anything like that, all went through Bill Gates. And so Bill Gates would have to give you the tick or the sign off to say, yeah, we're going to go ahead with that. So in early 2000s, when they were talking about the Xbox, they revealed an early concept of what the Xbox was going to look like. Now you might have seen these online. And I'm going to grab an image and chuck it on the screen. There you go. But this is the early concept for the original Xbox. They never went with this design for consumer use because it would be too expensive to produce and it was a bit out there. But this is what the original Xbox prototype design was from March 2000, which was a giant X box. It was a giant box in the shape of an X, and it had all the components inside it. So this is what they originally came up with. The DirectX team went, yeah, let's make this. This looks fun. It's kind of cool. I kind of like it. Crazy. So yeah, that was the original Xbox design from 2000. And Bill Gates came out at CES to show it off to everybody and say that they were working on a games console. Microsoft were going to release a games console. And of course, the final design that they ended up going with, as we all know and love, there you go. So they eventually took that big giant X design, and they sort of made it boxier, but sort of kept the same design. The giant green sort of heart in the middle, and they got the X over the top of the console, but made it more sort of user-friendly and more aesthetically closer to sort of set-top boxes, DVD players, VHS players. You know, it would fit in with your home entertainment system a bit easier. I'm going to go through the variations of the consoles actually as well, so we can take a look at those as well, guys, because they did release a few different designs over the years. And I'm back on one of my favorite websites, one that I recommend to everybody, which is consolevariations.com, where you can find every single type of console that's ever been released, special editions, different box arts, and this is the section for original Xbox. So you had the original black one, which we've seen already, this guy here. Oh, it's so pretty. This one's pretty. I like this one. It's kind of like an ice crystal. It's cool. This one's really cool with this sort of Halo special edition written on it at the front there, and it's that sort of green crystal. Look at that bad boy. Look at that. How pretty is that? There it is. There it is. Just in pure white. Limited edition. Only 1,000 of these made. Pepsi Mountain Dew collaboration, which I hate this one. I mean, look at it. It's just the weirdest off green. Panzer Dragoon special edition as well, which I really like. That one's pretty cool. What? Is that a Hello Kitty Xbox? Oh my god. I want that one. I want that one. Yeah. Crystal blue is pretty. So yeah, those are different variations of consoles. But we looked at the start of the stream, for those of you just coming in, you missed. We were looking at the 2000 video of the Xbox announcement, which would then lead on to CES, or Consumer Electronics show 2001. So let's take a look at that.
We're unveiling the Xbox. This is the product that will be out later this year, and there's an amazing amount going on. Working with partners who help build the hardware, working with the software developers, working with the retailers. The program around this thing is really quite phenomenal. But the box itself is another thing that we put a lot of energy into. So you may have been wondering what this draped device was here.
No, we know it's an Xbox, Bill. Show us the Xbox.
For the first time, let me now unveil.
Show us your box. Woo! Polite applause. Polite applause. So this is interesting because Bill came out on stage at CES, and E3 was a thing at this point. E3 had started, I think, 3 years previous to this. So E3 was happening, and that was very video game centric. CES was also happening, but CES was a consumer electronics show, and that was more generalized about different gadgets and different sort of home automations, different softwares, things that you would add to your home to improve your general lifestyle. The weird thing was Microsoft had always had a presence at CES, but they hadn't really done E3 before. So Bill Gates came out at CES to unveil this because he always did like the opening speech for that convention. And so they unveiled this at CES and not at E3, which is weird, which is why you've got this sort of polite applause, because it's slightly different from E3. But Bill,
As I said, the design here was driven by spending time with gamers. actually putting the control
Juke!
in their hands. We
Look at
tried
the
out
juke!
over 100 different form factors.
Look at that bad boy!
To find what was the most comfortable and would give them.
This is not comfortable, Bill!
If it's a game
This is
that you've
not
played
comfortable!
before, one of the unbelievable things here is that we have a hard disk, and so the information about the game will already be stored. You don't have to load it off the disk or load it as you move from level to level.
Oh, who's this? Who's this? What the deuce? So to help with the launch, Bill is quite a nerdy guy. He's a big geek. Okay, we know that Bill's a geek, and to the average consumer, to the average Joe out there, Bill's not gonna. They're not gonna be sold on a new console from Bill. They're gonna be like, this guy's a nerd. I'm not listening to him. I'm not buying anything from him. However, this man right here is the most electrifying thing in sports entertainment. Or he was, and still is probably at this time. And so they roped in Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson to advertise the original Xbox. Because Microsoft were really smart here. They were like, right, okay, Bill's not going to sell these consoles. We can't put Bill's face on a poster with the original Xbox. We can't have Bill interviewed talking about the original Xbox because it's just not going to go over well. So we'll get a big name sort of celebrity, someone who's got the art of the sell, who's got the who's got the panache, he's got the sort of the ability to make something seem cool. And so they got Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in. This is 2001. The Rock. It's not even Dwayne Johnson, it's The Rock. He is being The Rock the entire time. He doesn't drop from character. He stays in his WWF or WWE charisma, his character, the whole time.
That's fascinating. That's fascinating. Yeah, I might want to use that sometime, Bill.
Well, thanks, Rock. And it really is an honor to have you here. Believe it or not, I'm a big fan of yours. For instance, I know that you're a 5-time WWF champion, not to mention one of the top entertainers in the world.
Bill, I'm very flattered. I'm a big fan of yours as well. For instance, The Rock knows you're the chairman and chief software architect of the Microsoft Corporation, a leading worldwide provider of software for the personal computer.
Thank you, Rock. I'm very flattered myself.
Thank you, Rock.
Creating Windows.
Thank you, Rock. I'm very flattered. Thank you, Rock.
By creating Windows in 1983, a multitasking graphical user interface environment that runs on MS-DOS-based computers along with Windows NT and Windows 2000, completely self-contained operating systems that feature networking, symmetric multi-processing, multi-threading, and security. Bill, you've certainly revolutionized the technology we know today.
Wow. Rock, that is impressive. Let's move on.
Oh. You also like golf.
That's true, I do. But today isn't about me.
What? What was that? What was that? Whoa! You also like golf. Like, what? What? And then they just carry on as if nothing happened. Like, what?
It's about the future of video games.
Bill Gates, you never cease to amaze The Rock. Never cease to amaze The Rock. You're right again. Today isn't about you. It's about the new Xbox. And quite frankly, I couldn't be more excited. The Xbox is everything The Rock is. Cutting edge, powerful, exhilarating, and like The Rock, it will be the most electrifying thing coming out this year. And what The Rock is to sports entertainment, to the WWF, the Xbox will be to the video game industry a breakthrough and certainly an original. I mean, The Rock doesn't impress easily, Bill, you know that, but I'm pretty damn impressed with what we're seeing here today. And considering that this Xbox at this moment is only running on 1/5 of the system's power, it's very impressive. Bill, do you have any idea what The Rock would be like if he were only running on 1/5 of his power?
Well, I would think that...
It doesn't matter what you think, Bill.
Yes! He did it! He said the line. Yes!
No, I'm sorry, Bill. It's just a force of habit. No, The Rock, even at 1/5 of his power, would still blow everybody out of the water. Just
Bill could bankrupt The Rock with his pinky. Like, I mean, The Rock could rock bottom Bill Gates, but Bill Gates can destroy any human ever. So, yeah.
like the Xbox. It is truly the future of video games, and I'm very excited to simply be a part of it if you smell what The Rock is cooking.
Yeah.
Thank you. Great job.
The Rock says, The Rock says.
How messed up was that theme tune at the end? That was weird.
Nice guy.
Thanks, Bill! That was the 2001 console reveal of the original Xbox with Bill Gates and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. So yeah, The Rock was used quite a lot for advertising for the original Xbox. He was interviewed quite a lot, and his name was synonymous with the original Xbox back in the early 2000s because Microsoft wanted to leverage his advertising power to make sure that they were going to sell consoles because they needed to hit that market hard. They spent something stupid like, I think, $1 billion or something like that on advertising for the original Xbox. Remember, this is the first time that Microsoft had released a physical piece of hardware specific to gaming. They had, up until that point, mainly been based in software. They'd released stuff like Microsoft Flight Simulator, Age of Empires was huge for them. And so they'd been in, obviously Windows was a huge thing as well to do. So they'd been mostly in the software side of things, but had never released hardware before. So this was the first time. But yeah, The Rock was their way of sort of getting to the people and advertising and making sure that everyone knew what the Xbox was going to be, what it was capable of, and what they were going to be getting for their money. So I've got an interview with The Rock actually, which I found online, which we're going to take a look at just now.
The Rock is cutting edge. Xbox is going to be cutting edge. The Rock is exhilarating. Xbox is going to be exhilarating when you play it. The Rock is the most electrifying man in sports entertainment. Xbox is going to be the most electrifying console, period. So there's a lot of there's a lot of qualities very similar in The Rock and Xbox. So it's a good combo. Well, The Rock would say simply, go out there, know your role, get the console. The Xbox is going to be fantastic. I've been very fortunate to see a preview of what it's going to be like. Of course, that was only working on 1/5 of its power, and it was just simply amazing. So certainly very impressed with it. So the console, the Xbox, gets the Brahma Bull stamp of approval. All the millions and the millions of The Rock fans out there will certainly be very pleased with it. It's going to be great. If you think of all the creativity that has gone into the Xbox, and to know that the developers and their creativity is going to come to fruition in a World Wrestling Federation game with all the detail is going to be simply incredible. So if you really want to smell what The Rock is cooking to a degree you've never thought you would before, you're going to get the Xbox.
Thanks, Rock. This marketing would not have worked for me. Oh, no? Really, Panda? Well, that's the thing. Microsoft came at it from two angles. So they had... Excuse me. Thank you. They had Bill Gates taking care of the technical side, going with the numbers and telling everyone how powerful this machine is and what it was made of, and sort of for the geeky people like myself, putting out all that stuff for them. And then you had The Rock doing the mainstream advertising and really talking to the people and selling it to the people that aren't interested in the technical side of things, but more interested in basically just playing games and having fun. So they really came at it from a two points of view, and it really worked for them back in 2000 because they came out, and the Xbox, it didn't sell as well as the PlayStation 2. I mean, Sony had already set up a really strong benchmark with the original PlayStation in 1994. So the release of the PlayStation 2 in 2000, actually the year before the Xbox came out, meant that Sony were just flying at that point. They probably couldn't have, and nothing could have stopped them. No matter how much money Microsoft piled into the Xbox, they wouldn't have been able to stop Sony. But they had a strong case and they wanted to build a strong foundation, which they would then go on to build with the Xbox 360, which, as everyone knows, and we'll probably cover in the future, the Xbox 360 ended up winning that generation and setting Xbox up, or Microsoft up, as a big player in the console wars. Halo, I mean my title thing's in the way if I move that. Hello. This is Halo Combat Evolved. This is the only reason the original Xbox succeeded, in my opinion. This is Halo Combat Evolved. If it wasn't for Halo, I don't think the Xbox would have even had a chance. Halo and Xbox are synonymous with each other for a reason, and yeah. Poor Apple users. Yeah, Halo was originally designed for, was it Mac OS? Back in the day. It was originally designed for Apple. But Microsoft just came in on Marathon. Originally came in and went, nope, I'll take that, thanks, and released it on the original Xbox. So as I say, I don't think the Xbox would have survived without Halo. So let's take a look back at some Halo. Autumn 2001. Oh, was it the Marathon? Okay, cool. Thank you, Phil.
Live out your sci-fi dreams. Attack enemy outposts. Raid underground labs.
What is this voice? Live out your sci-fi dreams. Attack alien outposts. Excuse me, sir.
Live out your sci-fi dreams. Attack enemy outposts. Raid underground labs for advanced technology. Rescue fallen comrades. Steal alien vehicles and snipe enemy forces.
Some Project Gotham Rising from Bizarre Creations. Here you go.
Behind the wheel of a fast automobile, choose from 20 different cars over more than 200 realistic city-based circuits with over 100 individual and
look at that F40
and a separate arcade mode. You can race against up to 3 friends at a time through different light and weather conditions.
Dead or Alive 3. Okay. Boobies warning. Boobies warning. Warning with digital jiggle. Just for those of you who are against digital jiggles, look away now. I apologize for the jiggles. I'm here for the digital jiggles. Boobs intensify.
Your friends are back along with new high-kicking characters Christy and Hitomi.
Amped. Now, Amped is a hard sell for me. I was a big Cool Borders fan back in the PlayStation days. So I loved myself some Cool Borders. And then I moved from Cool Borders into SSX. And SSX was the snowboarding game back in the early 2000s for me. So Amped was a hard sell.
Grab your board and head for the slopes. Choose from 120 different runs packed with rails, kickers and half-pipes. Set in wide open real mountain resorts in the first snowboarding game to focus on freestyle riding.
Yeah, SSX Out of Bounds it was called. There you go.
Think you can do some high air or fancy your chances on dirt? 10 times world champion and 12 times
Is this Matt Hoffman?
Games champion Dave Mirra.
Oh, Dave Mirra. Matt Hoffman was better. So yeah, that was the launch of the original Xbox. We got to see The Rock. We got to see Bill Gates. We got to see the original concept build of the original Xbox, which was a giant metal X. It's literally a giant chrome X with a green bit in the middle, which they then changed into the console that we all know now, which is the box with the X on top. We got to see some of the console variations, so the different releases. So the original black, the crystal green, crystal orange, crystal blue, and crystal itself, the crystal white.